Hi, I'm Liliana,
And I'm Nicole.
and this is
Mujeres de COLOR.
So, as most of you guys know, if you have been following our work at Color, which is the Colorado Organization for Latina Opportunity and Reproductive Rights, we used to have a radio show called Mujeres de COLOR.
Yeah.
And it was a radio show that happened since 2017. And the reason it was started was because we felt like we needed to create a space where we could speak about reproductive justice, or RJ as we know it, very freely, without censorship and without the fear that it was going to get taken down, right?
Yeah. I think an important thing we should note about Mujeres de Color was it was the first Spanish-speaking reproductive justice radio show to ever exist. So, that's pretty cool. And honestly, for its time, it was so progressive.
Yes. Also know that our community is on YouTube and on Instagram Reels. And it's also more accessible. People can go and find it whenever they want. Whereas the radio, it kind of was just a one and done type of thing.
Like you have to tune in at this time on this day, and if you lose it.
And it was awesome. It served its purpose, but we wanted to create a podcast. So this podcast is going to serve as a way for us to talk about different topics, educate our community about different things. We want to talk about health, culture, policy, organizing our community, and some of the themes that we like to talk about are obviously reproductive justice, reproductive health, reproductive rights, but also immigration, housing, disability, everything that affects, that intersects essentially. But yeah, we understood that our podcast needed to be accessible to everyone. So we are going to be having one episode in English and one episode in Spanish. So our first episode obviously is in English, and the one that is coming out in a couple of weeks will be in Spanish.
Yes, really excited for you guys to see all of that. And to see us a little bit more like in our element, right? Like, I feel like it's not very common where we're able to have like these raw, progressive, like conversations about reproductive justice, where it's like us as two co-hosts being Gen Z co-hosts, being Latinas, coming from immigrant families. Like, it's such a privilege to be able to have this
voice,
this medium where we're able to share all of these things from the perspective of young people, from Latinas, in this. And it's just like Mujeres de Color is just a space where we're able to amplify all of these different things, right? Where we can say all of these things about reproductive justice and its intersections where we can't say elsewhere.
Yes.
And also it coming from Latina voices, from like Latina identities, Latina experiences. It's just a really cool thing that you can't see elsewhere. And so,
and one thing I want to add is also like we're first gen, like we, like our parents are not from here, and I don't think they ever expected their daughters to be podcasters.
Definitely not.
Or even in the reproductive justice movement, if we're being honest, because we know how conservative our immigrants' families can be.
For sure. I remember when it was like time to start looking at college, because college was definitely like a non-negotiable in my family.
Same.
It was like, oh, like, what do you want to study? Like, do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be a lawyer? And just to please them, I was like, I guess I'll study neurosurgery. I'll be a neurosurgeon one day. And then I realized that's not what I want to do. I want to study
Then Miss Girl went into journalism.
And here we are.
I went into psychology. Now I'm like, am I going to go into law school while being a podcaster?
But yeah, I mean, like, even with studying psychology or journalism, like, we always had like that passion and that love for social justice and like those experiences that shaped us, right?
Yes.
And either way, like, despite the route that we went, like, it still brought us here.
Yes.
And
like, that
passion,
that passion has not gone away. Like, our parents were like, oh my God, it's just a phase. Mom, it's not a phase.
It's not always just a phase, it's
yeah.
a say.
And also, like, we see, like, these older women in the movement, like, these older señoras, and it's awesome to just, like, be with them and, like, learn all about their trajectory as activists. And yeah, I don't know. It's awesome to see that it's not just young people. And the reason why we wanted to create a podcast, another reason, is because we saw this election and there wasn't a lot of Gen Z voter turnout, much less Latina Gen Z voter turnout.
Which is a problem.
Yeah, and we kind of want to talk about that, kind of why you should care about these issues, why they're not boring, why policy affects us all. Like, they're all very important things to know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We also want to share that Mujeres de COLOR is going to serve as a space for policy education, cultural storytelling, and we want to preserve the movement in a podcast.
For sure.
We want people to be able to go back to our episodes whenever they want and just see our guests, see ourselves, like, see what we're talking about.
Yeah, and I think it's such a cool position to be in because not only do we get to, like, learn and experience from this, from, like, the guests that we have and stuff like that, but, like, the people who are watching, like, you get to learn about all these cool people who are in social justice movements, whether it's specifically to reproductive justice or it can be environmental justice, it can be housing justice, like, all the intersections. Like, there's so many players within the fields that like it's just so cool to be able to hear their stories and their experiences and how it connects to, like, our movements, because at the end of the day, I feel like sometimes there's a misinterpretation or misconception that all of these movements are isolated, but they're all connected, right?
Yes.
And so I think this will be such a cool place to just be able to see that in real time and learn from it.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm excited about that.
And Nicole and I have been working with each other for a long time, so we know that this podcast will be amazing.
Yeah.
And we want you guys to join in the amazing fun as well. But we know that our radio listeners from before knew a lot about us. They knew all of our stories. They knew where we came from. And I kind of want to do, like, a little intro.
A little get to know us.
A little get to know you.
Yes.
So, Nicole, where are you from? What's your story? Tell us.
That's loaded. Okay. Who is Nicole? Who is she? Who are they?
Who are they?
Yeah, I think, like, we have very similar stories. Like, my family is from Chihuahua. Somos del norte.
Hey.
My parents are, my mom, she immigrated from Ciudad Juarez after she met my dad, who's from, like, Chihuahua, like El Rancho. And they both, after they got married, they crossed the border. They had, like, the same dream that most immigrant parents have. You know, like, they just got married. They want a better life for their families. There just was a lot of danger, no opportunity for jobs where they were living at the time. And they decided to move. And so they crossed the border. I think it took them a couple times to be able to successfully be able to come here. And then they received sanctuary from the church like, church members that they knew across the border in El Paso. And so they, like, lived in, like, a tiny basement with a couple other families in El Paso until they were able to find a home.
Wow.
And my abuela was like, oh, like, let's go to Colorado. I heard there's a lot of work there. Like, it'll be a good place to start.
She wanted to come to the Rocky Mountains.
Let's go to the Rocky Mountains. And so after they heard that, my parents were like, you know what? Yeah, let's go. Like, let's raise our family over there. And then they started settling. They lived in Aurora, near, like, where the UC Health campus is. Yeah. And pretty much, like, grew up there.
Were you born in Aurora?
I was born in Aurora.
What? That's some new lore for me.
Are you for real?
Yeah.
Yeah, born in Aurora, raised in Commerce City. And I loved it. I loved living in Commerce City. Like, it was a very, like, Latino dense community. So, like, you see, like, the carnicerias, the taquerias, the panaderias. So it really felt like home. Like, it felt very connected to like everything that I had grown up with, my family had grown up with. And it was good until I went to college, but that's a whole other story we can get to. But yeah, I think like being a Latina and like growing up in a very predominantly Latino culture and community, and then going to college, I went to DU. And so, yeah, like attending a PWI was just like a complete culture shock for me. But
Yes.
before we get into the weeds of that,
PWI is primarily white institution.
yes. And then we both went to a PWI,
Yes.
so we can talk about those experiences. But
Yeah, we will.
enough about me. Tell us a little bit about like your upbringing, your family,
Okay.
all that stuff, all that lore.
Well, I'm also a norteña. My mom is from Chihuahua and my dad is from Durango. And they met here actually. So they did not meet in Mexico. They have a pure Denver love. But basically, my mom, she was working in the maquiladoras, and if you guys don't know that, it's like factories that were enacted on by NAFTA that essentially exploited Mexican labor in border cities.
Yeah.
My mom was literally getting paid, I think she told me like $7 a week, and she had a son, my brother, and she was like, honey, I can't raise my son with $7 a week. So she came over here, and it was tough for them for a while. Then she met my dad, and my dad, the way he came over here, he was crazy. You know what I'm talking about? Like, he first came to California, which I'm like,
what?
wow, I could have been a California baddie, but
Let's not say
that wasn't in the cards for me. And yeah, I mean, my mom and my brother, for the first half of my life, were undocumented, and it was really hard for my dad to get them papers. So it was a really scary time for my family. You know, the Show Me Your Papers law was in effect. It was really tough, and then I was always a scholarship kid. So after primary school, after elementary school, because I went to Escuela Guadalupe, shout out, they were a very they were a bilingual school, so it was like awesome for yeah, it was awesome. Like,
my school was very against us speaking Spanish for some
heck
reason.
no.
Like, imagine going to a fully like 98% like Hispanic school. I'm saying
yes,
they would write us up if we were speaking Spanish.
No,
I'm not even kidding. So like when I went to college and I had this freedom where like I could actually embrace my culture and my language, what the heck?
Exactly.
It was really weird. Sorry, but like I really just wanted to like point that out. Like, that's amazing.
I know. And then imagine going from that to I'll just shout it out. I'll shout out my middle school and high school, St. Mary's Academy. It was a great school, had good academics, but as a first gen Mexican, it was very scary. I was very poor. I've always lived in a trailer park. And I was going to school with the 1%. Literally.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. Some deep lore that I didn't know. I went to school with Peyton Manning's kids.
Oh my gosh, you told me this.
So that's some Denver knowledge. But yeah,
that's
it was
like top tier 1%.
Yeah, literally. And also, yeah, if I'm lying, don't double check that. But somebody from my school told me.
I mean, if it's not Peyton Manning's kids, it's his cousins. It's someone.
Yeah, literally. But yeah, I mean, we can talk about our PWI stories all day because it was very traumatizing.
It was traumatizing.
It was very, very traumatizing. I will say, like, in 2016, I was in high school, and, like, these girls put up, like, very heavily charged political cartoons about, like, securing the border and everything, and I got in trouble for taking them down. because I was like, oh, like this is not funny to me. Like this is not it. But I guess
activists in the making.
I guess that was my first form of resistance.
Yes.
That was my first dip into any movement.
Honestly,
it was me taking those white girls posters down because I was like, what is wrong with you? Like they were literally talking about like securing the border using like some political figures, like their heads and putting their heads on their body. I was like, very traumatizing for me.
Oh no, honey.
Yeah,
oh no, honey.
It was horrible, and I dealt with it from 6th grade, and then 6th grade to like 12th grade, and then I ended up going to Regis, which, to be honest, wasn't that traumatizing for me, because they ended up becoming a Hispanic serving institution because there was a lot of Latina students there. So yeah, when I went, it didn't feel that weird. The reason I did feel weird sometimes is because I was the minority in my psych program. Yeah.
Oof, I totally feel that.
Yeah, it was like 3 of us. Like, no más somos tres, bruh. Insane. Yeah.
I totally feel that with, well, we both went to college around COVID time. So that just makes it way more isolating. It's like you're a minority in a PWI during COVID when everyone is isolated. I remember when I lived on campus, they had to separate everyone into their own room. So I didn't have roommates all of college, which was weird until like my junior year. But
I was a commuter student, so I never had.
Yeah, I was required to live on campus, so I had to throw in my white flag. I'm like, I guess I'll live here. But like I was in the journalism. Like I was in the journalism
at
school at DU, and so it was. Yeah, there I was pretty much the only person of color, despite like 1 or 2 people, and it was really interesting. I think like one of the things that really showed, I guess, like my passion for social justice, and we can talk about like how we got into RJ, and I guess this is a good pivot, right?
Yeah.
I had always grown up seeing just how much like my parents had to work 3 times as hard.
Yes.
Or like translating documents for my mom at the doctor, or helping them with their taxes, and like doing all of these things, you know, like that's, I'm pretty sure like other first gen like kids are going to relate to, right? Like having to kind of grow up at a young age and like assume all his responsibility to help our families. And just seeing like meeting all of the people in my class and just hearing their backgrounds, like, oh, my dad is the president of this tech company, or I live in like and like Cherry Creek and like this penthouse, like hearing all of like this privilege and like just was like very debilitating. I'm just like, I don't even feel comfortable having a conversation with this person, because I'm like, oh, well, you know, in high school I worked with my mom like mopping the floors at the school, like that was the type of jobs that we had, you know. And so it was very, very interesting, and honestly it made me feel a lot closer to like my roots, and like always like, I don't know, like I was like, my family deserves better. Like we shouldn't have to be working this hard to have some sort of equivalent of like a good life. Like, and it really just exposed like all of like the discrepancies and like privilege and class disparities, income disparities, even like where I grew up, like Commerce City. Like I know you have a connection with Commerce City too. It's like
who doesn't?
If you live in Denver, who doesn't? Yes. But it's like hearing how people would call like these places that we grew up in, like,
oh my god,
this will always stick with me. Someone called Commerce City Commerce shitty, and I was like, are you serious? Like that's like that is where like that was like, that was shocking.
Se pasan, bro. Like, no.
Yes, like I was like, wow, like that's insane.
God. That is insane.
But
that's rude.
It's rude. And honestly kind of discriminatory, right?
Yeah.
Like given like the demographics of the people that live there, work there. And it made me mad. And I think like it also like I felt like I was already radicalized, but it radicalized me more, where I was like, I can use this degree, journalism. I can be a reporter and report on the stories of my community that people refuse to, or that people are overlooking. And so like my goal with studying journalism in college was like, I just want to be someone who represents my community, who can give a voice to my people. And like at the back of my head, like my parents were always there. Like my dad, I
They're
remember.
always there.
Yes.
Always, bro.
Yes, and they're kind of like your cheerleaders, even though I didn't become a neurosurgeon. Like
it's okay.
It's
the
okay.
disappointment of immigrant parents is what makes the immigrant experience.
Yes. But just like the back of my head, I always had this ingrained of like my dad saying like, "Sea la voz de la gente." Like you see what's going on the TV, and this was a 2016 election when, you know, someone was elected that my family wasn't very happy with.
Yeah.
And so it's like, this is happening. Like we need you more than now. Like our people need you more than now.
Yeah.
And so honestly, it was a big driver into me diving into social justice and journalism, and like journalism as a field is kind of corrupt. And very, very underrepresented by like minorities. And so, yeah. And then I started working in a nonprofit for teaching youth like journalism. I got to teach them like how to conduct interviews, how to write an article, how to put a magazine together. We would make magazines every other month and publish it in Southwest Denver.
Period.
And then I was like, what can I do that's still serving my community and like doing like the things that I love, which is media. And I found this position for COLOR, the digital media coordinator. And you're going to see a lot of you're going to see.
There's tea about that because we both applied for the same job.
Yes.
And Nicole got it.
But she ended up getting hired a week after me. So we'll get to that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And so, like, ended up getting the job there and really seeing, like, wow. Like, I remember my first week on the job, we had a legislative session kickoff dinner. And I started meeting, like, I remember one of the first people was, like, Manny Rutinel, Tim Hernandez. Like,
period.
All of these people that I met that I never knew I was going to keep, like, seeing in the future. I was like, oh, these are just legislators. I'm a media person. They're probably never going to see me. And, like, now they're like, recurring, right?
And it's crazy because when you first meet, like, all of these important people, you kind of look up to them. And I love Color because we're always, like, we stick to our values, right? Like, we don't stick to idolizing one person or another. And just the type of work that we do, we have a sister organization and they keep, like, the legislators accountable. But, like, seeing that work is awesome, you know? Right? Like, and, just it's crazy to look back at, like, the type of work that we did.
But how did you get into reproductive justice as like a movement?
Okay,
going from psychology.
Yeah. This all has to do with my experience being discriminated at a PWI. I mean, obviously, if someone is racist, xenophobic to you, you're like, oh wow, I hate you. So let me look into like all of the things. So I actually got radicalized online. I was on Twitter a lot.
Very Gen Z of you.
A lot. It's very, but also kind of millennial.
Twitter is kind of millennial. Okay. You're like on a little bit of the cusp.
I did get radicalized online, and, you know, I actually started the, oh my God, what did we call it? It was called like the Latina Affinity Club.
Oh, yes.
Let's not say. At St. Mary's Academy, and I was proud of it. And then when literally when I was at Regis, I decided to go into psychology. And if you have never studied psychology, just know that it's very eugenics based. It like studies Black and brown bodies, but it's like a white man studying Black and brown bodies. And so my research project was all about the violence that women faced in border towns, like in Mexico. And my participants were Mexican men that lived in Mexico. And afterwards, I ended up working at this research firm, and it was cool, it was chill, but once again, it was like white people studying Black and brown bodies, and I was like, I can't. I was like, I need something different, and apart from that, it was kind of boring me. I'm not gonna lie. It was like a little bit boring, and I was like, maybe this is not my calling to be a researcher. So then I applied to that job that you got. I'm just kidding. But we both ended up being on the same comms team. Yeah. So it ended up working out.
Look at us here 2 years later.
Look at us now.
Look at us.
We hate each other behind the cameras. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, all in all, I was already really into the reproductive rights movement, I would say.
Yeah.
So I didn't know much about reproductive justice up until I started studying in college about violence at the border.
Yeah.
And I started studying about the difference between like marianismo and machismo, like misogyny within like women groups.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of got me into reproductive justice. And then I have always also been into the movement because I'm like a huge advocate for trans rights. So I was, I was always like into that movement online. So they always would mention reproductive justice, and it's just kind of like the thing. I think one of the things that I was a little hesitant about actually before working at Color was not about like, oh, me supporting abortion, but me talking about it freely.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because I was like, oh my God, like, what are my family and friends gonna think if they just hear me talking about abortion? You know, I grew up Catholic, or like, yeah, I mean, what is everyone gonna think?
Yeah, it's really hard, and that was something that I didn't really think about until I actually got the job, where I was like, okay, cool, like I work for this organization, reproductive justice, and how do I explain this to my parents now? Like,
I had to sit them down and be like,
no, yeah,
sorry to you, but this is my job.
And I think that's a very niche experience
it
with
is,
like
yeah.
Movements that involve like minority groups, especially where there's so many different intersections of like religion, for example. We can talk about that. And just like these different upbringings and beliefs that are rooted in our culture.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I remember when I got the job, the first person that I told was actually my grandmother. And I was like, actually, what do I tell her when she says, oh, like, ¿qué haces el trabajo? I'm just like, oh, I work for a Latina organization that, like, empowers the community and stuff. And so at first I was really timid and scared. But then I was like, you know what? Like, I'm feeding into this stigma and narrative. Like, I shouldn't. I should be proud. I should be helping to normalize, like, these words and these conversations. And so, like, I remember when I actually told my mom, I was like, oh, pues trabajamos para apoyar a la gente que necesitan abortos y también salud reproductiva, like being an advocate for all of these different things, right? And so my mom actually took it really well, and which surprised me because like my mom grew up Catholic and then became Christian and like all the religion stuff, right? But my dad, I remember he was like, oh, cool. And I feel like he still doesn't really know what I do. But
literally my dad, I have not told my dad. I'm like,
yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's how it is.
Yeah. I mean, if you grew up in a conservative Catholic immigrant family, you know. If you know, you know. But I mean, yeah, one of the things that I learned was that the reproductive justice movement is not just about abortion. I think obviously it's a huge topic, a huge issue. Like, we need accessible abortions so that our people don't die, you know? Or just because you want one. Like, literally.
Yes. Like, literally has to be no reason for, like, if that's what you think is best for your body and that's what you want to do, you should have the right.
Yes.
And the accessibility to be able to get that, right?
Yes. And at Color, I love that we don't use choice language.
Yes.
So if you guys don't know this, the pro-choice movement is a movement that was started essentially by white women for white women. And we don't live in a society where you get to have a choice. It is governed by the state. So the state either says you can or you can't. That is not choice, right?
Yeah.
So if you live in a state where it says you can, We champion for accessibility, essentially, because it's like, okay, like the state lets you have abortions, but you don't have money to get an abortion, or you don't have public transportation to get you to the clinic or the hospital.
Language is another one.
You don't have a doctor that speaks your language. You don't have any resources that tell you how to take care of your body afterwards. Yep. You don't have a lot of things, right? You don't have access to a lot of things. So that is what we at Color do, is we advocate for all of these things to be accessible to us. So that was the reason why I wanted to work at Color so bad. I wanted to work so bad because I was like, I am not like a moderate person. Like, I need to like be creating like real change. Yeah. And like the fact that this work is intersectional, like in and of itself, that like we work with staff that we can like say like fuck ICE, you know? And then they're like, yeah,
you know what, hell yeah.
Yeah. And we work with staff that doesn't support weird money things that are going on. We don't support, the Geo Detention Center in Aurora. Like, and we can say all of these things, and we can say, I heart abortions. And everyone...
Abortions are cool.
Yeah, and everyone doesn't blink an eye. Whereas, like, we did not grow up with that, you know? We didn't even grow up with a lot of, like, Latina people around us, right? So like all of our staff, we're all women and we're all Latina. So,
which is crazy.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's awesome.
I really love it. And I think I don't know, it just reminds me a lot of the experience that we have like with the connection to RJ and accessibility. One of the things that we were robbed of, I think, was a lack of like sex education and resources.
Yes.
Like, so I
went to Catholic school.
You went to Catholic school, and I mean that just says a lot in of itself. But I went to a public charter school in Commerce City, and the education, like the curriculums, are very much regulated by like the higher ups. And if someone knows this more specifically, please let us know in the comments. But that's just like my perspective going to public charter school from K through 12. And so I remember a lot of these conversations when it did come to sex education, like when we had biology in high school, for example, like we kind of very much like had just one small segment in one day where it was like the reproductive systems of the body. And like, I was like, this is it? Yeah. Like, I know there's more. Like, and it just felt very confusing as like a teenage girl who was just like, you're starting to go through puberty. Like, I actually got my first period when I was finishing 4th grade, so I was 10 years old.
I got mine in 5th.
Yes, like we were so young, and like during that time, like I never knew what was happening in my body. Like the first time I had my period, it was so traumatizing. I was like telling my mom, I was like, oh my gosh, there's like blood coming out of me. What's going on? Like, what is this? And then my mom was like, ay, mija, ya te tocó. Like saying it in this tone where it was like, oh no. Like, instead of like, yes, instead of saying like, it's okay. Like, let's talk about this. But also like our parents didn't have like that growing up either. So it's just like us starting to break down those barriers, right? As young people. Yeah. Within the movement and trying to have more of that accessibility. Yeah. And like, being able to have these open conversations about our periods, our changing bodies, what's going on in our bodies, and like what sex means, what pleasure is, right? And so, yeah, that's something that I really love about Color and being a Latina-led organization is like we're in this like position where we can actually provide these resources. And like something that I wish, like when I was a teenager, I wish I knew about Color. I wish I knew about all of these resources that existed and could have a safe space where like I could talk about these things. I could ask these questions and like it be totally normal, because it totally is normal, right?
Yes. Like, it's crazy to think about color existed before we were born.
Yes.
Color has been around since 1998. I was born in 2000. Nicole was born in 2001. So all of these resources were like there in existence, but we did not know about them. Our families did not know about them. We have programs. One of them is called youth programs. One of them is called LIPS, Latinas Increasing Political Strength. And it literally gathers a group of young girls who I think are aged like 16 to 21.
Yeah.
And they teach them all about reproductive justice and how to advocate for yourself at the Capitol. And then they take them on a free trip to DC, like everything paid for.
Yes.
I wish I would have known this.
Right?
Like I really wish I would have known about it. And then we also have our fellowship program, which that one I wish I knew definitely about during college. It's paid, so like we compensate people for their time, and that's awesome because my internship, my fellowship, not paid.
Let's not say.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, it's just so cool to have like those youth programs where like at a young age they empower you. They teach you like, oh, as a person of color, you have power. Your stories matter, and they matter like not just to like the organization, right? But like to policymakers, to people in the Capitol who are passing all of these initiatives, all of these laws. Like your voice can impact those decisions. And so I think it's just so cool that Color has been doing that. And I think LIPS is on its 17th year already. So it's like, like there's 17 years, like 17 cohorts of like badass women, Latinas, like doing this work and like going through this and like probably experiencing the same kind of radicalization that we did.
Yes.
Like, well, we experienced it like in a different way in a different time, but like being able to have those positions where you're like, oh yeah, that's cool, I can do that. I had no idea I had access to all of these opportunities, right? So it's just so cool.
And if you're a LIPS alum and you're wondering how to get involved, I would say reach out to anyone from Color, because now they're doing like an alumni network, which is awesome. Like they're creating like this whole like mentorship, like networking thing, and I'm like, wow, like I wish I was a part of LIPS.
Right? That is so cool.
Yeah, it really is. But yeah, I mean, growing up without sex ed really sucked.
It did. And I think
the thing is, you said that you weren't taught about periods. That's all I was taught about.
Are you serious?
But nothing else. I didn't know anything about the male body. I didn't know about sex. I didn't know anything. Like I like never saw like a dildo, a condom, like anything.
Okay, yeah.
Like literally. Wait. The first day I worked at Color, one of our past coworkers, she had this like sex ed kit, and it had like literally like a dildo, a condom, like a thing of a vagina, a thing. What is it?
It was like a 3D model of the
yeah.
uterus, and it shows like the vagina, the vulva.
And I was like, what? Like, who? Like, what is this for? And she was like, oh yeah, like, we used to do like sex ed presentations and all of these things. And I was like, that's crazy. Like, I had never seen that. Like, that was something that was very new to me. So I don't know. I wish that could have been a thing when I was a teenager or a preteen. And you're right, with our changing bodies.
But
yeah, I'm like, I want everyone to know that like Color is like a safe place where you can contact any of us through our Instagram, our Facebook.
I would probably be answering, so just think you're messaging me.
Yeah.
But
yeah, Nicole is the one that runs everything. And I mean, you can contact us about anything, like any questions you guys have, like whether that's about like, oh, where can I go get sex ed, or like, can you help me with a resource on finding an abortion, or how can I testify at the Capitol, you know, especially now that we're going into legislative session. which is a whole thing in and of itself.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But I'm glad you brought that up. If you ever need to contact someone from like our team, you can go to the contact us page on our website, colorlatina.org. And we have specific contacts. Like if you have questions about elections, our contact would be Jennifer, who will be on our next episode. You'll be able to meet. She's a lovely, lovely person. Stuff about like policy, um, stuff about communications, like it'd probably be one of us. And just stuff like that. Or if you have general questions, we have an info@colorlatina.org email where you can just send those over, and then someone will delegate those messages. But yeah, one of the things we really aim for is like transparency, accessibility, and just creating that safe space within our community, which, like, as we've already shared, it can feel so stigmatizing to have these types of conversations. And so we just want to be that resource. Like, if you're going through the same things that we've been through, like, just know you're not alone. Like, and it can be so scary to take that first step.
Yes.
To say, like, I want to know more. I want to get involved. And trust us, like, we know, we've lived through it. Like, but there's so many ways to get involved, whether it's like you want to learn how to testify, or you have a neighbor who has questions about elections but you don't know where to go, message us.
Yes, like, we will tell you all about policy without the jargon, without all of like these legal things, you know, because sometimes the language is inaccessible for a reason. They don't want you to know that they're trying to take away your rights. Like, they make it really hard for you to understand so that you don't even want to get involved. So I don't know. I think some of the things that we're going to start talking about, and these are going to be in our couple next episodes, are going to be about what's going on in legislative session, how color is involved. We're going to talk about relationships. We're going to talk about like relationships in conjunction with RJ. We're going to talk about what it means to love your community, what it means to love your community and vote. So I don't know, tune in for like these next couple of episodes because they're gonna be good.
Yes. And yeah, I mean, this is just an invitation for you to stay connected with us, and hopefully these conversations feel like you're just sitting in with us, right? Like, as young people who are involved in social justice, with reproductive justice specifically, and we can help break down some of those barriers that make some of these topics feel like uncomfortable sometimes, whether it's because of like our upbringing or the stigma that exists around it. And
you should not feel like you can't say something, or that you're censored in any way, you know? Like, I feel like, unfortunately, like in these past couple of years, like we're leaning like in a very like, I don't know, restricting way. Like, we're going back to like a restricting society. And it's very sad because, you know, like, people before us worked so hard to, I don't know, like, for us to be free, like, for us to have certain freedoms, you know? And like, it's sad to see that like even the youth is like leaning that way, and I'm just like, what's going on? Like, we should be able to like fight for our rights and like fight for what we want to say in a way that is free, that is like without judgment. And like, it's like we're resorting back, you know? It's kind of scary.
And I mean, like, honestly, I feel like a lot of people sometimes do feel scared, and rightfully scared, right? Like, our people are being targeted right now. Literally. Like, ICE is out there like grabbing people, and like, it's this really, really scary time to be loud, but it's also the most important, crucial time for us to be loud and out there, right? Because if no one, like, if we are scared to stand up for our people, like, they're gonna take over, they're gonna step over us, they're gonna overlook us. And so now is the time to be more united, more out there than ever. And one really good way to do that is to get involved with us during legislative session, which runs from January up to the end of March, and sometimes it can go a little bit over. But you'll learn more about that in our next episode when we go deep dive into legislative session. But yeah, like there's so many ways to get involved right now in leg sesh. You can sign up for our rapid response network where like you'll get short action based texts from our policy team and say like, hey, this bill's on the floor, like we need people to share their stories, like come and help us. And the cool thing about the rapid response network is you could also send messages back. So if you have a question like, I have class from like 3 to 5, like I could come like around 6, would that work? So it's like it's an open line of communication, which is so cool. And yeah, so like I think that is a really cool way to get involved right now.
And also join our newsletter. So you can go to colorlatina.org. I don't know why I said org. But you can sign up to our newsletter on that on there.
Yeah.
And on the newsletter, we talk about everything that is going on policy-wise. We talk about events. We talk about things you should eat, read. It's also like a good little fun read.
Yeah. And this girl runs it.
What can I
say? Or whatever. Yeah. And then make sure to also follow us on social media. At color_latina is our Instagram. At color latina is our TikTok and Facebook. We always make fun videos. You're going to see our faces there a lot. You'll also get to meet the rest of our team and just see what we're up to. Sometimes we do really cool campaigns. We're still running our Latinas Deserve Care Without Barriers campaign. And I believe we have some cool merch on our Bonfire Store.
We have a lot of cool merch. We have like a cool little reproductive justice warrior merch.
That we did in collaboration with Millennial Loteria. So if you're not buying that merch, what are you doing?
Yes.
Stop this video and go and get it right now.
Go and get it. We have the Latinas Deserve Care Without Barriers merch. I think we have like general color merch. But you know what? Stop listening to me talk about it and just go see it.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. We'll leave a link in our bio in the YouTube version of this. So you can go visit our website. Also, our socials will be on there. And also our Bonfire Store. So you'll be able to see all the really cool merch that our team was able to design, and all the funds go back to our organization. So you're honestly just supporting us and helping us move the reproductive justice movement forward. So why didn't you want to rock a really cool shirt and support a good cause?
I know.
To kill 2 birds with 1 stone, I'm saying.
No, feed 2 birds with 1 seed.
There you go. Okay, I like that. That's violent.
Next week's episode will be in Spanish, and we will be joined with our coworkers, Jennifer Arriola and Nicole Cervera Loy. Yeah. So please tune in to that one. Please subscribe to us. Please like our video, share it with your tias, uncles, aunts, abuelas, abuelos, whatever you want.
Everybody.
Yes.
And your mama.
Yes. But this has been your favorite show, Mujeres de Color.
Bye.